Hey, ever wonder what a performance coach does? I'm here to give you my thoughts on what a performance coach does and what I've done and what I do when I'm coaching. Hello, welcome back for another day of coaching with Alonzo Coaches. And let me talk about some of the benefits of a performance coach and how that can impact your life and what that can mean for your personal and professional development. So when I look at a performance coach, a performance coach is a person that, not to say that you're an expert in that, when we look at coaches for LeBron James, coaches for Michael Jordan, coaches for Kobe, it's not that their coach played at the level that they played. Not to say they did or didn't, but I'm just saying that for performance coaching, you don't have to be an expert, meaning that you did it yourself in that field. You have the skills to push someone to get there. That's often the nuance difference between a coach and a mentor. So when we look at performance coaching, we are looking at individuals that's trying to take something to the next level. We're looking at individuals that are trying to perform at a peak level. We're looking at individuals that are trying to be better at what they do. So let's kind of unwrap that a little bit. When I look at performance coaching, I want to talk to people about their goals, their aspirations, where they're at now, some of the things that may be holding them back, some of the challenges they may be facing, some of the difficulties they may be chasing. When we peel this layer back a little bit, this has a huge impact on personal and professional relationships and development. When I look back at my time, a really good example that I had, I mentioned the last time sports. I mentioned some of the organizations that I was in. Probably one of the best examples for me was being in a program called Civil Air Patrol. And he wasn't really called a coach. He was more of a mentor. He was a senior member in the program. So here I am in middle school and high school. This is an adult member that has lived life, has had some experiences, and can tell me and others a thing or two about life and the path that we want to go on. So now I fast forward. I took that knowledge into my life that helped develop and shape me and in college, in my military career. And I look at my military career along the way, I had an opportunity to coach people that were on my team so we can reach a specific goal. What does that look like? Well, we may have someone that didn't know about a certain thing, and I would be the one that would say, hey, you know what? Let's have a pull aside and talk about it. Here's a good example of that. I remember we were having some guys that were coming into my office and they would present about a subject matter and it would be a little bit scattered. And I said, hey, you know what? Let's have a session where we do presentations and let's talk about presentation skills. So I made it fun. We all went into this small conference room and I said, hey, here are some of the things that I would expect to see in a presentation, and here's how I present. And the next time we do this, we're going to have each of you present. And everybody said, okay. And I said, who would like to present today, just off the cuff, and we're going to do something that you know about? One of the guys raised his hands, and he went through, and he was presenting about his subject matter. Now, what I noticed right away is he was not making eye contact. He was looking away from me and others. He was looking down at his paper. And I said to him, hey, you know this. This is a job that you do. Why don't you look at us and talk about it? So on the spot, I gave some coaching, not in an embarrassing way. It was in a very polite, collegial way that he could understand what I was getting at, and the other team members grew from that. So I asked questions. Hey, what questions do I have? The questions that were asked really seeded that they understood what I was getting at. They understood the objective, and we went one by one. Each of them had their opportunity to get up and present about their job and what they do, some of the things they like, some of the pros, some of the challenges, and it allowed me to quickly understand some of the things that they were facing. Another good example, another team that I had, just kind of talking through some things about communication. I'm the kind of person that when I communicate, I like to be as clear as I can to avoid confusion. There's a lot of confusion in the world, a lot of confusion. So I want to do my part to say, hey, was that clear to you? Did you understand that? Let me tell it to you in another way, oftentimes without even being prompted, because I've learned that a lot of times people may not understand what you're getting at and they won't even ask you to clarify. So I'll take the liberty to clarify Hey, let me say it another way. Let me try to break this down into smaller pieces. And that's something that I spoke about on the last session, that how do you eat a large piece of meat, fruit, or whatever? You break it down to smaller pieces. You break it down into smaller bites. That is how I like to communicate. Okay. So when we look at communication, when we look at coaching, that's very, 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 very important. Oftentimes in relationships, on the job, in the things we do, and interacting with people on a daily basis, communication plays a pivotal role. And the better we are at communicating, the better we can be as people. So with that, I like to look at, when I'm coaching, let's talk about communication. Let's talk about what this means to you. Let's talk about the impact of that. Because at the end of the day, I want to help people increase, improve professionally and personally. And what does that mean? That's going to go off to their jobs. That's going to go off to their families. That's going to go off if they have kids, how they communicate with their kids, coworkers, you name it. When we work on those critical skills that are critical in life, it can help in so many, so many, so many ways. So let's kind of talk about that a little bit. What is my role as a performance coach? What is the end goal that we're trying to do? Something that you and I, me as the coach, you as the team member, want to achieve and want to accomplish. Okay? You want to be a better performer. How do you get there? You know, if you want to be a better leader on your teams, if you want to be a better manager, how do you get there? Let's talk about some management roles. Let's do some role playing. I can talk about some of my experiences that I had working in the military, working for the government, some things I learned along the way to help, to push things, to get a better understanding of your situation and what you're trying to do, that at the end of that, you walk away with clarity about what you should be doing in that particular scenario. A big one, as I mentioned, is communication. So we spoke about what that means. We spoke about the impact of that on your professional and personal life. We spoke about some examples of some things that I've done with some of the teams that I've led and what that has meant for them. So what can we do for you? What would that do for you with this kind of information? Well, let's talk about it. Stay tuned for the next episode as we continue along this journey, as I talk about some things that have been helpful for me, some things that have impacted me, and maybe some ways that this might help others. So thank you very much and have a good day.